Welcome to True Health Tuesday, and the truth will set you free. We're going to learn variations of truth. Okay, so nonviolent communication. This is a brilliant method, and we're going to need it, particularly in society today, because you may be communicating with someone that you might have a different belief system. And I had to pull this up because I got two things here. If you allow the government to break the law, okay, during an emergency, the government will continually create emergencies to continually break the law because it's a power grab, and this is what governments do. And we're going to go into that on how to communicate. But if you look at this, can you imagine putting a sign in the grass to say you can't walk on the grass because there's a virus somewhere? Okay, I mean, and people went along with it because, you know, there was just no rhyme or reason to it. Okay, no critical thinking involved in this. Now, a lot of our information is censored, okay, and deleted. So we have the site. I really appreciate your support. And if you're just watching this on YouTube or Facebook, please copy it, paste it, share it, spread it, sign up, subscribe. We got over 700 and something thousand subscribers, and most of them are not getting notifications. So please subscribe again, resubscribe, and send this out, because this information, however long it'll be on, nobody really knows. Okay, but this, if you're watching this on Dr. B VIP, it will go uninterrupted. We're going to stop this about 3/4 of the way through, because I think that's all the information that the Ministry of Truth will accept. Okay, now this is my apology to the Ministry of Truth because they've just deleted this video. It's American State, it's national is what it was on. And so we actually had a really cool guy talking about the thick red line, okay, about changing the legal system. But they actually said it was medical misinformation. So I'm sorry, Ministry of Truth. It will be on the Dr. B VIP. Of course, you realize probably next year I'll be in a FEMA camp for that infraction. But just know that some of this information is not something that the government feels that you should see. And they are much smarter than you. Obviously, I mean, just look at what they're doing with the rent control and evictions. Oh, God. It's like crazy drunk teenagers have taken over. Okay, we also have Extreme Health Academy, health challenges, information, data. This is amazing. Now, I'm on there every month, answering questions and doing at least a 2.5-hour webinar. So this week or last week, it was 2 hours, 15 minutes because my internet went out. Okay. Now, what's interesting is we're coming into a society, and this is where we have to change our communication patterns. Now, the society that we're coming into, there are a lot of illegal actions done, okay, by our government. I mean, we have certain rights, freedom of assembly, speech, religion. It's in our Constitution. And a Constitution is designed to limit the powers of the government. Well, now, for a crime to exist, there must be an injured party, no sanction or penalty imposed upon one because of the exercise of constitutional rights. So all of this stuff is illegal for them to shut it down. The Constitution isn't suspended because of an emergency. Now, okay, so I'm online, I'm doing research, and I research from just about every website you could imagine all around the world, okay? And I got this auto-translate, which is cool. So if you're looking at, like, say, appendix information or prostate information, okay, Germany is one of the best sources of that. Now, so I get on there, and I get this. This is the first time I've ever seen this, where it translated it to English, but stopped at this one slide. Sorry, this content is not available in your country. Now, comrades, I just want to be clear. I didn't know that the site was information that you were not allowed to see, or me. Luckily, our government is smart enough. Okay, where the hell are we? Is this North Korea or something else? So this is one of the reasons we're going to talk about communication. And now, again, just think of this, because the government is now admitting that they're going to be looking at your cell phone data, because if you're communicating with things that are misinformation, even though they may be your opinion, because remember, you can go to court, have two experts in the same field with differing opinions. There isn't one opinion unless you're in a totalitarian system like we are. Okay, now 1933. No letter, no telephone conversation, no word on the street is safe anymore. Everyone fears the next person may be an informer. This is where we're moving into. And if you're not familiar with history, I encourage you to look at the Nazis in power, 1939. Now, this is the Bidman's chart of coercion. Now, if you want to break down a population or a person, there's certain methods that you can do. Okay, one of them is isolation, lock them in. And I know what you're thinking about. Like last year, they had to let prisoners out of prison because it was hard to isolate them in prison. Okay, monopolizing perception. Can you imagine how hard it would be to be a comic and use satire in a world that was fact? Okay, so monopolize a perception. So you got to control the media or control the information, humiliation or degradation. I'm not demonstrating anything. Exhaustion. So you keep browbeating them and making it just there's no rest. Okay, threats. Okay, your business is going to be shut down. You're going to be doing this. It's all isolation. Okay, now all of these are excessive, but the way you train a population or the way you train a dog, okay, is you give them restriction, then a little freedom, then restriction, then a little freedom, then restriction, and a little freedom. This way, if last year in March 2020, they said, we're going to only have these restrictions for a couple of weeks, and then we'll go back to the normal. Okay, that's what you were told, right? They didn't say 18 months from now, you'd be forced jabbed in order to keep your job, and we're going to crash the economy and put us way more in debt so your dollar won't be worth hardly anything. Okay, and we're going to open the borders. I mean, you would say probably no. Okay, so that's why it's a little bit of restrictions. But just let's look at this. And this is out of the book called The Rape of the Mind. Each wave of terrorizing creates its effect more easily after a breathing spell than the one that preceded it, because people are still disturbed by the previous experience. Morality becomes lower and lower, and the psychological effects of each new propaganda campaign become stronger. It reaches a public that's already softened up. And we will get that more and more. I mean, tomorrow, there's supposed to be an emergency broadcast system. Look towards the end of the month, more restrictions and everything else. Now, if you think this is completely illogical and insane, you are absolutely correct. Sticking a sign in the grass to prevent you from walking on the grass to spread a virus that's aerosol. Now, remember, 45% of your DNA is viral. Okay? Aerosol transmitted viruses go around the world all the time. They're called influenza, and 30% of those are from the corona variety. So, all this stuff you might think is insane. So let's look at this. If you're trying to communicate with somebody that thinks that this is normal, logic can be met with logic, but illogic cannot. It confuses those who think straight. The big lie and monotonous repeated nonsense have more emotional appeal than logic and reason. While the people are still searching for a reasonable counter-argument to the first lie, the totalitarians can assault them with another. Okay, so we have to find a different way to communicate. Okay, does that make sense? If you think, sorry, Victor, I got to go back. If you think that this is completely illogical and completely based in science, and that you should follow everything, this won't make sense to you. If you're questioning the logic and intelligence of these, okay, let's go over some of this. Now, these are not health questions, okay? It's just a question that you may be posed in society today. Like if somebody says, "Are you vaccinated?" Okay, if you're from the South, you may say, "That's my own business." Okay, or if you're from New York, like some of my other friends, okay, they have certain hand gestures. Okay, or you can say, "Are you vaccinated?" No, I don't plan to. I have more faith in my immune system and God than an experimental medical procedure with no long-term studies and no liability. So that's not offensive. You're expressing your opinion and you're not giving advice that's not asked for. Okay, does that make sense? So you're just transferring advice. Now, if somebody says, um, you must have a mask on because that's our store policy. You could say a mask interrupts my breathing and it's not good for me. So there's no judgment in there. And this would be true for every person that actually breathes. Or you could say, rebreathing in my own waste weakens my immune system, so I choose not to wear one. Does your store have accommodations for people with my condition? They may say, yes, you have to put this gold star on your chest and you can't shop here anymore. Okay, I know the gold star has been done before, but there may be something else, like, I don't know, a passport or something. Okay, but at least this is different ways to communicate. Now, the masses have never thirsted for the truth. They turn aside from evidence that is not to their taste, preferring to deify error if error seduced them. Whoever can supply them with illusions is their master. Whoever attempts to destroy their illusions is always their victim. Now, what we're looking at, totalitarianism. Okay, you're looking at power-hungry rulers with a psychologically regressed society, population. I mean, men and women are literally regressing into the childlike status, looking at the news, saying, what can I do now? What's open? What do I do? What are they going to do when they force this or this procedure? Hey, you're Americans. You have certain rights. They've been taken away. How about we get them back? Okay. Now, this is something that I cannot talk about. And again, this is about communication. So if I'm giving you information that I can't talk about, I would love to say, like, how many people died from, how many people died with, what's the PCR test? Okay, all of this information is censored. Okay, I can't talk about any of it. Okay, so dealing with that frustration, the nonviolent communication. Now, I've gone to probably 6, 7 seminars. I'd actually met Dr. Rosenberg several years ago. He's now left the planet. But I mean, just brilliant understanding. It's a language of love. It's a way to connect even with people with completely different belief systems. But you got to look at what we're living in now. We're living in a language of domination, okay? And this has been developed over thousands and thousands of years. Where a few people who claim to be superior. Okay, there are in our society. It's supposed to be a government by the consent of the governed. That means you have to go along with the crap they're telling you. Okay, if you don't go along with this, you're not consenting to be governed by the ruling class, the few. Now, we're in a society that ruling class is changed a lot. Of course, that's going to be changing pretty soon too. Okay, language of domination. A few people who claim to be superior dominating others. Like if they close a salon and you can still use it, can't go to a restaurant, you can still do this. So, but it was for important stuff and you guys are not important. Okay, by classifying people into groups, people who are on top use punishment, guilt, shame, and judgments to control others. That's what we're doing. So how do we get out of it? Now, nonviolent communication, I can't tell you how many hundreds of books I bought because this is a way for parents to connect to their kids, for spouses to connect. Now, it's going to seem really, really simple, okay, at first, but it's so beautiful. It only has 4 things: observations, feelings, needs, and requests, okay? But to do this without judgment is so hard. Now, if you can understand that anytime someone's talking to you, they only want to communicate 2 things: please, okay, and thank you, to express appreciation. And this is this is one of the trainings that I use for my docs and my team. If somebody comes in, because you got to listen beyond the words, what's a person really saying? Okay, and that is hugely important. So when somebody comes in and they say, God, I still hurt. and you want to go in and say, well, yeah, this is your second adjustment. You've had 3 surgeries. You're taking 14 pills. Okay. I would be hurting too. Okay. You want to just say it sarcastically or anything. But what they're really saying when they're saying, I still hurt, they're saying, I'm so scared. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to hold my kids again. I don't know. So those 2 different responses. But if you hear the second one, the connection, the passion that you're going to have, and it's the same thing when you approach somebody with a different belief system, like a face diaper. Okay. So approaching things without judgment. Okay. It's not a right or a wrong issue. It's like and this drives me crazy because I was never hit as a kid. I know you probably think that's part of my problem. Okay, and I never hit my kids. I know I probably think it's their problem too. But when you see like an adult slapping a kid, okay, in a store, I think that's an inappropriate way to teach someone. But what are they doing? They're actually trying to communicate to protect that child, to teach that child to live safer, healthier, or generally. Okay. Are there better, more effective ways to teach a kid? Yeah, absolutely. That's why this is so huge. And the 2 most dangerous words are deserve and should. And when you read his books, you'll get it. But when you say, man, I should be doing this, I should be doing this, he talks about shoulding on yourself. Okay, that you're living towards other people's values. So when you say that, are your needs being met? Not really, not really. Now, this is education that we've had for thousands of years, thousands of years. Now, one of the seminars, now we're talking, it's in Santa Barbara, okay, really nice area, okay, you're talking not a lot of homeless people attending these events, okay, so you're talking, upper middle income. And he goes out and says, okay, I want you to write down on a piece of paper a mistake you made and how you educated yourself. Like you were late to an appointment, you turned left instead of right, you ran into a stop sign or something, not that you killed somebody. Okay, I know they deserved it. Okay, just settle down. You got to have an Italian in the crowd. Okay, so no, he's my nephew. Okay, so but when he said, how did you educate? What did these professionals answer? How do they educate themselves from their error? Stupid dumbass, you do it all the time. So if we're talking to ourselves that angrily, how are we going to connect with others? Does that make sense? But this is how we're taught. I mean, if you see an adult talking to a kid, put that down. What are you doing? You wouldn't talk to a dog that way. You wouldn't talk to your spouse that way, or your friend, or your buddy, or your neighbor. Okay? Do you know what I mean? But we are taught this way for thousands of years. Now, one of the things that you can do is first change your body position. Because when you walk around and say, man, I am so depressed. It doesn't work that way, does it? No. Because when you're like this, you're actually changing the influence to the cerebellum, which is the brain on the back. You're opening up your lung tissue, and this is what your brain requires is oxygen. This is changing the programming of the frontal lobe. Okay, and this body posture literally helps you change your attitude. This body posture also helps you change your attitude. You can't breathe well. You're not oxygenating your system. Your body is round and over. Everything's pulling on. So it's an absolute change. Now, what's neat is we're being programmed through repetition through the media. Okay, well, it is a controlled media too. So that's even more important. I mean, if you look at the news, man, you got a ticker tape. How many people have died or sick or tested? Okay, wow, this is great. I mean, I wish I was a pharmaceutical rep. I would have free advertising. So let's do the same thing with our brain. Through repetition, you can reprogram your brain. So when you see someone that's doing something that just gives you anxiety like crazy, body posture, volume, intonation, and breathing, and you could reprogram your own brain. I mean, this is one I got from Abundance from Tony Robbins. And just think if you started the day, let's say you had a bunch of stuff to do that day. You get in the truck and you sit up nice and straight and you say, God's wealth is circulating my life, flows to me in avalanches of abundance. All my needs, desires, goals are met instantly by infinite intelligence, for I am one with God and God is everything. Repeat that 10 or 12 times in a day. Guess what I do in the morning? Honest to goodness, I get up, roll out of bed. I'm not that friggin' happy. I get my cup of coffee. I'm a little happier. I get in the truck. I sit up nice and straight, and I do this stuff. The 15-minute drive here over and over and over. Because if you can master your emotions, you change your physiology. Okay? And it just works that way. Emotions are chemicals that alter your physiology. So that would be huge. Now, this is something that's hugely important. When you have knowledge, and this knowledge, remember, is censored by most people. Okay, the majority of Americans are not looking at Del Bigtree, the high wire. They're not subscribed to Children's Health Defense. They're for sure as heck not looking at Extreme Health Academy or Dr. BVIP. And this is the frustrating part, because you can say, hey, look, there's some new information on this censored site. And you might think, well, they can't get to it if it's censored. Okay. You know what I mean? Before you used to, if you wanted to learn how to work a carburetor, you go to YouTube, type it up. Now you go there and it'll say, sorry, carburetor information is censored. So when you give advice, and this is one of the challenges, because I just spent a couple of days in the desert, which I totally recommend, unplugging everything, going out there, meditating in the sun. Just wow. Oh my God, fantastic. But when you're going into the store and you see these people and they're saying, I say, wow, how long did you guys have the masks off? And they said, oh, we've never taken it off. We deal with the public all the time. And all of a sudden inside, I'm thinking fear and anxiety, and I really could help these people. I got all this information and facts and data I can add to their life, because if they keep breathing through this thing, their health is going to be impinged. Okay, But giving advice without asking permission to give it is a violation. It's hurting that person. It's like a rape of the mind. Okay, so you always got to ask permission. Bam, shut up, kid. I have some different information if you'd be open to it on communicating with a child. You know what they're going to say? No, thanks, I'm good. Would you be open to some different information on face masking and immune system? You might get about half of the time someone saying, yeah, yeah, like, what do you mean? I'm following the CDC guidelines. Okay. You know what I mean? So that way you've given permission, so then you can communicate. Or you might get the usual. Okay. Nope. And the hand goes up like a stop sign. I got the best doctor. I'm following the advice. I look at CNN and CDC all the time. And I listen to my fearless leader. Okay. You can also say, if you're interested, I have some different information on vaccines or immune system reactions, things like that. Of course, you can't say this on YouTube because it would be censored. See how I'm putting it? I think I'm going to get away from the health ministry. I don't know. Who knows? It's like playing football and they're changing the rules. Okay. Now, blaming, criticizing, this is one of the toughest parts, because judgment is how we've kept alive. When you're walking down the street and you see a dark alley, okay, you got to judge, and this is primal. Is that safe or is it dangerous? If you're trained in martial arts and you're a pretty badass guy and you're kind of looking to exercise, you might be excited about it. If you're common sense and you've been hit before, you kind of want to go the other way. I'm kind of the guy that goes the other way, So when you look at this, but we have to have that judgment. But criticism is tough. So when someone's judging you, think, and this is one of the toughest things, to observe without judgment. Hardest thing ever. But please or thank you. Observation. This is the hardest part of this, to observe without judgment. This means, okay, like when someone says, you never call me. Okay, is that an observation? Does this person never call you? Okay, or is that not accurate? Okay, an observation would be, you know, I really want to get a deeper connection with you, and we only connect maybe every other week or something. That would be an accurate, okay, observation. Okay, does that make sense? So something tangible, something real. Okay, and it's huge and without judgment, and that's the toughest thing. And it's like, well, um, he uses a jackal and a giraffe. Okay, has the two things. Now, the giraffe has the largest heart in the animal kingdom. And when I talked about this a few years ago, one of my patients actually got me a wooden giraffe. And I just thought, I still got it on my shelf. Okay, because no matter what you say to the giraffe, they're going to respond with love. And a jackal is going to respond kind of immediately. Because if you get somebody, cover your mouth, sir, you're just, you're breathing too much air. Okay, immediately, you want to just respond with, uh, okay, you know, get away from me, or so, something nice and pleasant. Okay, instead of, first you need to have self-empathy to get a clear judgment. So you may feel that was, they don't have the right to do it. They're infringing on your freedom. They're creating a world that you were not familiar with, and then you're not in alignment with. Okay, there's a lot of things. So self-empathy, when you've had a judgment or a comment like that, is hugely important. And you take a deep breath, and then you respond out of love. Because what are they saying? They're saying, sir, I really want you to follow the rules. Okay. And I'm listening to the authorities, and I really believe that your breathing close to me can infect me and those around you. So I'm concerned about the security of others. Okay. Does that make sense? So you're listening to a little bit different, a different method. You're hearing the meaning behind the words, and it will help you. But the judgment is necessary for survival, but it limits connection. And that's one of the hardest. Now, feelings, this is when you're going to go fishing. Okay, now, can you imagine being so honest during an argument? Has anyone in here argued with your spouse or lover or anything? Never. Okay. Oh God, you lie like a rug. Brother, I love you. Okay, so when you so the couple's arguing, in heated argument, the wife in the middle of the argument looks to the husband and says, do you love me? Okay, and the husband, being honest, using nonviolent communication, says, you mean a feeling of deep affection and caring? No, not right now, but ask me in a few minutes. Okay, feelings change. Raise your hand if you would like to say that in an argument. I'm saying yay. Would your lover accept it? Probably not. Okay, then give him the book. Okay, but this is also where you go fishing. Okay, if you're wondering, and this is a great tool. If you're feeling frustrated, angry, unheard, disrespected, I guarantee you the person you're communicating is feeling frustrated, unheard, angry, and disrespected. Okay, so it'll give you an idea to go on fishing trip. So, are you feeling upset because you're not being heard? Are you feeling sad because you're not being understood? Are you, and you'll see them, no. Are you feeling frustrated? Yeah, I'm feeling frustrated because I don't think you're understanding me, because you're an asshole, because, and then all these judgments comes out and everything else. And then what do? Little self-empathy. Okay, I do have one, but I am not an asshole. Okay, so you could, do the observation without judgment. Okay, but what are they saying? They're saying, do you feel that I'm not hearing you or understanding? Yeah, that's it. And you'll get this like connection, and it's brilliant. And so you can have this dance. That's why this is such a brilliant method to connect with people with different belief systems. When your feelings aren't met, or when your needs are met, these are the feelings. And this is what I show people to program their brain. It's just brilliant. Enthusiastic, compassionate, fascinated, friendly. I mean, there's so many words that you can feel Okay, that I mean, we're guys, and then we're not designed to communicate our feelings. But if you are and you're in touch with them, you can get connected with others because it is the language of feeling. It is the language of love. And when your feelings aren't met, okay, this is that disconnect. And I encourage you, and this is part of the handout that you have. Now, needs are universal. Everything that you need, that person that tells you to cover your nose, sir. I mean, I was in a coffee house, literally. There was a guy, no mask there. And this was a couple of months ago when they still had the mask crap. Okay. And then it went away. Then it came back. Train that dog. Okay. So I'm up there and a guy sitting at this counter, literally level with my head. He's at one of those stools. He's sipping his cup of coffee, eating his donut. And I just wanted a cup of coffee. And they said, no, you have to have a mask. Okay, can I just give you a cup of $5 and I'll sit here while you get it? No, sir, you have to have a mask. We have to protect others. And I'm looking at this guy drinking his coffee, looking at the couple over there drinking their coffee, and it's like, okay, so I'm thinking that I'm in crazy world. Little self-empathy, okay. And what is this person needing? They're needing organization, control, security. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, would you be willing for me to put my $5 on the counter and go out and you could leave it at the door? You know what they said? No. Okay. Okay, so, and if you give a request, okay, they have an opportunity to say no. Okay, cool. See you later. When needs are met, meaning, and these are the needs, meaning autonomy. Do you want autonomy? Does a way to control your own body, what goes on with your body, what controls with your life? Is autonomy important to you? Yeah. And so these are some of the needs that aren't met by some of the forced medical procedures without informed consent. Connection. Do we need more of a connection to rebuild our world? Absolutely. Do we need more peace, acceptance, love? Absolutely. And that's what this method of connection will get you. That's why I mean, the biggest thing is request. On a request, you got to accept the no. And the best story I can have is with my youngest son. Okay. This was about 15 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. Video gamer. Okay. Gothic video gamer. 1,500 safety pins in his jacket. It looked cool. When we went to the LA Fair, the artist wanted him to put it on display. I mean, this is freaking rocket. But I leave at around 4:30 in the morning. He's playing video games. I said, hey, buddy, can you take out the trash? Okay, I'll be back later. Sure, Dad. Come home 6 o'clock at night. Okay, 12, 13 hours later. Was the trash taken out? No, it was not taken out. Good God, that man is psychic. Okay, so I'm feeling frustrated, unheard, disrespected, not appreciated. Okay, those are my feelings right there. Okay, yeah. So what I tell him, buddy, I'm working like really long days, and I'm really feeling unappreciated, and I would really need some help around here. Okay, now would you be willing to take out the trash? No, Dad, I hate taking out the trash. Okay, little self-empathy there because you want to reach across, grab him by the throat. Okay, choke him out on the couch. Again, that is a parenting method. It's not one I choose. Okay, so a little self-empathy. Okay, so then, is there something you would be willing to do, buddy? Okay, yeah, I'll pick up the dog shit. Okay, now this is the backyard is Spanish tile. So when you picked up the dog poop, you had to wash up the tile. You had to wash the water the plants. You're talking half hour, 45 minutes. Okay, and you're kidding. You would really do that? Okay, and because I hated doing that. And he says, oh yeah, sure. Come back the next day. Trash is still there. Backyard is immaculate, watered, everything. I picked up that trash and I danced to the trash can. Happily, just joyous. All my needs are being met. Okay, so the request is huge, but you got to understand everybody's got different needs. Does my son need autonomy? Absolutely. Okay, because you could say he's just sitting around playing video games. No, that's a social interaction. He's playing games with people around the world. He's getting, joys and challenges and everything. I mean, this was something that I don't appreciate, but he does. Okay, so to get this, feelings or first observations without judgment. Okay, express your feelings, and that's one of the hardest things. Needs, clear and concise. If you say I need to be happy, good friggin' luck. Okay, how big is happy? How many pounds is it? And you want 3 feet of happy or 2 feet of happy? Okay, it doesn't work right. It has to be tangible and a request, and the request has to be clear. Not I need you to be nicer to me. Okay, no shit, I already am nice to you. You know what I mean? Okay. Okay. So I encourage you to look at this language of love because we are going to be building a new society. We literally are. Okay. And that new society, having this connection, having everyone be respected, okay, having your autonomy so that you can be, alive and loving and it's a language of love and caring. Now, we're going to be getting into some things that may be challenging, although I really don't know if the censor's going to let that other shit go. But now we're going into the Dr. BVIP, which I'm sure the Ministry of Truth would not allow. Okay, that's why it's on the Dr. BVIP site. So please, I encourage you to go out, get the nonviolent communication, look at the tapes. It's still on YouTube, thank God. Okay, but it's also going to be on BitChute. It's good because it's a revolutionary language where people can get a connection. And if you're in a society that is trying to separate people's connection and isolate people, because an isolated, scared, sick population is easy to control than a connected, intelligent, healthy population. Okay? So I'll see you later. But if you're watching Dr. BIP, it will still be going on. And next week, we got some really cool stuff coming.